Assalamu alaikum. This is Rokia Samia welcoming you to the English news from Btv-Chattogram. Let's begin with the top stories. Former DMP Commissioner Habib Rahman sentenced to death with two others for Rampura crimes against humanity during July uprising. Prime Minister Tariq Rahman directs Parso to contribute to national security and development during surprise visit. Nationwide Vitamin A Plus campaign held including port city of Chattogram. New textbook Learning with Happiness to be introduced for 6th grade from 2027 academic year, aiming learning process enjoyable, says Education Minister. Measles infections drop in Chattogram, yet average of 20 children admitted daily with symptoms. US and Iran exchange attacks around Strait of Hormuz, ignoring bilateral agreements. Viewers, those were the top stories. Now moving on to the details. The International Crimes Tribunal has sentenced three former police officials, including former Dhaka Metropolitan Police Commissioner Habib Rahman, to death in a crimes against humanity case over the killing of two people during the July mass uprising, including the shooting of a man who was hanging from the cornice of a building in Rampura. The other two sentenced to death are former DMP ADC Rashidul Islam and former OC of Rampura Police Station Moshir Rahman. The tribunal also sentenced two of the remaining five accused, former ASI Tariqul Islam Bhuiya to life imprisonment and former ASI Chanchal Chandra Sarkar to 20 years imprisonment. The verdict was delivered today by a three-member tribunal headed by Justice Ghulam Murtuza Majumdar. Following the verdict, Chief Prosecutor Muhammad Aminul Islam briefed journalists. He said the prosecution had successfully proven all the charges brought against the accused in the case and expressed satisfaction with the verdict. Earlier on August 7 last year, the prosecution submitted formal charges against the accused, bringing 5 specific allegations, including murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy. The tribunal formally began the trial on September 18 of the same year. After recording the testimony and cross-examination of 14 witnesses and hearing the closing arguments, the trial concluded on the 15th of this month. On that day, Tribunal 1 fixed June 28 for the pronouncement of the verdict. Prime Minister Tariq Rahman has directed the authorities concerned to develop the Bangladesh Space Research and Remote Sensing Organization (SPARSO) as a modern, future-ready, self-reliant space research institution capable of making effective contributions to national security and development. He gave the directive during his surprise visit to SPARSO office in Sheribangla-Nagar, Agargaon today. Tariq Rahman visited each department of the organization and exchanged views with its officials and employees. SPARSO Chairman Muhammad Rashidul Islam briefed the Prime Minister on the overall activities of the organization. Officials from various departments of SPARSO informed him of their innovations, research, and ongoing activities. Prime Minister's Defense Advisor, Brigadier General retired Dr. A.K.M. Shamsul Islam, Defense Secretary Muhammad Ashrafuddin, Prime Minister's Additional Press Secretary Atikur Rahman Ruman, senior officials of Prime Minister's Office and senior officials of the Ministry of Defense and SPARSO were present. SPARSO is a state agency engaged in the research, development, and application of space science, satellite technology, and remote sensing. National Vitamin A Plus campaign held across country. Health Minister Sharda Mohammad Sakhawat Hossain inaugurated the campaign in the capital this morning. Vitamin A capsules administered to children at 1,20,000 permanent centers and 500 mobile centers throughout the country. All children aged between 6 and 59 months received vitamin A capsules. The campaign started at 8 a.m. and ended at 4 p.m. Vitamin A is very important for children because vitamin A not only protects children from malnutrition related blindness but also increases children's immunity, protects children from long-term diarrhea, and reduces the risk of child death. Meanwhile, with the theme No Child Left Behind, the National Vitamin A Plus campaign was conducted in the port city of Chattogram. In the port city, children ages 6 to 59 months are fed vitamin A capsules at more than 1,300 centers under the initiative of the city corporation. City Mayor Dr. Shahadat Hossain inaugurated the program at the Chattogram City Corporation General Hospital. The mayor informed that a total of 1,321 centers have been established to cater to an estimated 564,000 children. The acting Chief Health Officer of General Hospital, Dr. Imam Hossain Rana, highlighted the campaign's goals, importance, and overall preparations. Medical experts at the event reiterated that the Vitamin A campaign plays an important role in preventing blindness due to malnutrition in children, increasing immunity, and ensuring healthy development. A new textbook titled Learning with Happiness will be introduced for 6th grade students from the 2027 academic year with the aim of making the learning process more enjoyable and ensuring the spontaneous development of students' latent talents. Education Minister Dr. A.N.M. Ehsanul Haq Milan disclosed these in response to a question tabled in the Jatiya Sangsad today. Earlier in the morning, the parliamentary session resumed with Speaker Hafizuddin Ahmed Bir Bikram in the chair. During the question and answer session, the Education Minister said the new textbook would help foster students' creativity, innovative thinking, self-expression, and multidimensional talent development. Through the initiative, the learning process will become more enjoyable, participatory, and student-centered. At the same time, opportunities for students to develop their hidden talents will be further expanded. Replying to another question, the Education Minister said that around 67,000 applications are currently pending with the Retirement Benefits Board for teachers and employees of private educational institutions. He said approximately 8,710 crore taka is required to settle these applications, while the retirement fund currently holds about 1,300 crore taka, leaving a funding shortfall of approximately 7,410 crore taka. The Education Minister further said the government has undertaken measures to allocate the necessary funds to address the financial crisis of the Retirement Benefits Board and the Welfare Trust. Meanwhile, in response to another question tabled in Parliament, Housing and Public Works Minister Zakaria Tahir said that the Rajdhani Unnayan Kortrypokho Rajuk, under its detailed area plan DAP 2022 to 2035 for Dhaka metropolitan area, has identified 58 locations, including the Coral Slum, to ensure affordable housing for low-income people. There are plans to construct around 1 lakh flats in these areas through public and private initiatives. He also said that an initiative has been taken to implement a phased residential apartment project for low-income people on 98 acres of land owned by the National Housing Authority at Dattopara in Tongi, Gazipur. The Housing Minister added that with financial assistance from development partners, the National Housing Authority has undertaken an initiative to implement a project aimed at ensuring improved living conditions for low-income residents living in approximately 37 slums in the city corporation and municipal areas of Rajshahi, Dinajpur, Borishal, Khulna, Kushtia, Mymensingh and Narayanganj. Responding to another question tabled in Parliament, Social Welfare Minister Abu Zafar Mohammad Zahid Hossain said the government is working to gradually bring 100% of the country's poorest and eligible. Elderly people, widows, destitute women abandoned by their husbands, and persons with disabilities under the Social Allowance Program. He said the government is rationally increasing both the number of beneficiaries and the amount of allowances every year so that a greater number of underprivileged people can be brought under the social safety net programs. Taking part in the discussion on the proposed national budget for the 2026-27 fiscal year, members of parliament said the budget has been presented with the objective of improving the welfare of the people in line with the fundamental rights and fundamental principles of the Constitution. Responding to criticism over government borrowing from the domestic market, the lawmakers said such borrowing is not consumption-driven but rather a strategic investment. They said the level of government debt remains sustainable relative to GDP and that the borrowed funds will be used to increase production and supply and maintain market stability. The lawmakers said the introduction of the Family Card program has revitalized the rural economy, while initiatives have been taken to make poor women self-reliant. They added that the Farmer Card program, along with the landmark canal excavation program, has created new hope among the country's people. Welcoming the budget allocation for the July fighters, State Minister for Foreign Affairs Shama Obaid Islam called for a special allocation in the budget to rehabilitate grassroots leaders and activists who had been subjected to political persecution in the past. State Minister for Road Transport and Railways, Habibur Rashid, said that approximately 36,917 crore taka has been allocated for the Road Transport and Highways Division in the proposed budget. Of these, 30,741 crore taka will be spent on development activities. At present, 106 development projects are being implemented across different parts of the country. Participating in the discussion, State Minister for Water Resources Farhad Hossain Azad said that once the Padda Barrage, one of the government's priority projects, is implemented, 163 upazilas in 26 districts will directly benefit. At the same time, nearly 37% of the country's population will enjoy its benefits. The parliamentary session resumed in the afternoon following the lunch break. Measles infections have decreased in the Chattogram region. However, an average of at least 20 children are still being admitted to the hospital with measles symptoms every day. Most of the affected patients could not get the measles vaccine. In addition, children infected with measles for the second time are also being admitted to the hospital. Pediatricians say that after measles patients recover, some patients are getting pneumonia again. Chattogram Medical College Hospital authorities said that the number of measles patients is increasing in various districts outside the city. Doctors are emphasizing vaccination to prevent all diseases including measles and protect child health. Now, international news. Iran has launched attacks on Bahrain and Kuwait after the United States struck 5 Iranian targets, escalating tensions and threatening the fragile ceasefire agreed by the two sides earlier this month. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps IRGC confirmed the attacks on Sunday, saying it launched ballistic missiles and drones at the U.S. Ali Al Salem Air Base in Kuwait and the U.S. 5th Naval Fleet at Port Salman in Bahrain. Bahrain condemned the attacks, saying they violated its sovereignty and undermined opportunities for de-escalation and stability in the region. Earlier, the U.S. military hit Iran's Sirik, Bandar-e Lenge, and Qasem Island on Saturday. U.S. Central Command CENTCOM said its Navy and Air Force conducted strikes on 10 Iranian military targets at multiple locations in and near the Strait of Hormuz, saying the attacks were a response to an Iranian drone attack on the Kikwa tanker. The recent attacks between two countries come after the U.S. struck Iran on Friday following drone attacks on vessels near the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. President Donald Trump has accused Iran of violating the Memorandum of Understanding between Washington and Tehran and threatened to militarily complete the job. Meanwhile, Iran's Ministry of Foreign Affairs condemned the U.S. strikes on its monitoring and surveillance facilities on its southern coast. It said the brutal attacks were in violation of the Memorandum of Understanding and the United Nations Charter. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said the Strait of Hormuz remains under total Iranian control for the next 30 days, and any U.S. attacks will only exacerbate the precarious situation. Hezbollah leader Naim Qassem has rejected a U.S.-mediated framework agreement between Lebanon and Israel in Washington. He called the deal humiliating and a surrender of sovereignty as Israel signals it's preparing for an extended stay in southern Lebanon. This comes as the Lebanese Ministry of Public Health said one person was killed and two were injured in Israeli strikes on southern Lebanon on Saturday, the first casualty since the deal was signed. The Hezbollah leader also accused Lebanon's government of legitimizing Israel's occupation for many years to come by signing the agreement with Israel, saying it could lead to the annexation of these lands to the Zionist entity. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, and other officials have suggested that Israel might remain in Lebanon regardless of Hezbollah's disarmament. Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has called on Washington to push Israel to withdraw from the areas it has been occupying in Lebanon. He said all aspects of the Memorandum of Understanding signed with the United States must be honored, including the clauses on Lebanon. The death toll from Venezuela's twin earthquakes has reached 1,430, with an estimated 51,000 people still missing. Venezuela's National Assembly President Jorge Rodriguez confirmed that at least 3,238 people have been injured and 3,142 families have lost their homes. Rescuers are racing to find survivors of the earthquakes as more than 3 days have passed since the disaster. Frequent aftershocks on the ground are hampering rescue efforts, and hospitals are struggling to treat the injured after decades of neglect for Venezuela's healthcare system. Venezuela's acting president Delcy Rodriguez said on Saturday night that 24 countries have sent aid and a total of 2,741 rescuers to help with search operations. Rescuers are coming from countries including Mexico, the United States, El Salvador, Switzerland, Colombia, Spain, Ecuador, Chile, the Dominican Republic, and Panama. The United Nations has announced $15 million in aid from its emergency fund, and the U.S. Department of State announced it would provide $150 million to support recovery efforts in Venezuela. On Sunday, the European Union has mobilized $5.6 million in emergency assistance for communities affected by the earthquakes in Venezuela.